One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his step, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he paves his way. More legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Topless Taco Tuesday. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. It is always awesome to hang out with you legends, man. So we have a big day today, as you guys can see, not only from the title, but what I said in the chat right before we started. Well, look, we are talking about a humongous Russia attack that they attacked Ukraine amid these renewed peace talks. And it's kind of crazy, but they just agreed, meaning Ukraine just agreed to the peace plan. So absolutely insane that I did not see that shit coming. Not even joking. I just didn't think that was going to happen. So it's being reported on right before we hit go live this morning. It was instantly coming out. So we've got a huge lineup for you guys. So let's go ahead and get into this. We're going to talk about a little bit about the Pentagon investigation that I actually brought up yesterday. But nonetheless, we have a whole bunch of shit we're going to be covering this morning. So, and I couldn't fit it into the title. So there was some things that happened after our live stream yesterday. Since I've seen you guys, a lot of things have happened in the news. So judge dismisses James Comey and Letitia James indictments. As you guys already do know that happened like 2 days ago or something. Nonetheless, it's in the media. Caroline Leavitt takes questions on Comey, Mark Kelly, Ukraine, and more. As you also probably know, you probably saw this if you're on social media, YouTube or whatever, Doge does not exist anymore, according to report. Yes, it has been disbanded like 8 months prior before it was supposed to end, but nonetheless, they ended it. Attorney General, state leaders talk crime reduction, and Memphis Safe Task Force. That was something that I had brought up yesterday in the very beginning of the show and saying we probably won't be able to hear Pam Bondi actually do that speech because most likely she was going to do it later during the day, and she sure did. So we have that for you guys. We also have an update on the whole cruise, the Carnival Cruise story. We have an update on that. Cruise ship death, Anna Kepner's grandparents speak out. So I guess her grandparents are going to speak out to the nation, as well as Trump plans trip to Beijing and state visit for President Xi in 2026. That is the president over there for China. And then we have the Pentagon probes Senator Mark Kelly after illegal orders video. As you guys also saw, I actually, when I presented that, I hadn't even seen or saw that video before. So it was definitely, it was wild to watch though. Russia launches deadly strike on Ukraine amid renewed peace talks. This happened 2 hours ago. 2 hours ago, they were reporting on this big deadly strike on Ukraine. And then just now they said Ukraine agrees to the peace plan. So anyways, I don't know how to say this, but you know that big jewel heist that happened over there? And like, I can't remember if it was like, I can't remember. It's Paris or something like, I don't know. Anyways, Louvre jewel heist, 4 new arrests made. And we've been following that storyline actually since we started seeing that originally come out. And then just an hour ago, I mean, under an hour, Ukraine agrees to peace deal. So that is our lineup for this morning. We got a pretty big one. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves. Great to see. Oh yeah, at the Lou. Nice, bro. I see you. Anyways, much love, honor, and respect to everybody. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves so far. I definitely know that we are. Let's go ahead and do our call to actions real quick before we get into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. Also, if you guys are brand new to the show, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because it's also free. But please consider becoming a member starting only at $2.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody. But check it out. This is what allows us to keep these lights on as well as be on these airwaves. So I very much appreciate you guys becoming members and staying members. Little side note, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, all that great shit. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one as well. We have a Discord server in the description box down below of every single live video. And by the way, we have the majority of you guys in there. We have like 98% of you guys, but we need the remainder 2%, man. Last but not least, all super chat, super stickers, gifted membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live onto the show and shouted out. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, well, then we have these platforms right here that you guys can donate to. And, of course, I will read out anything that comes our way. We've just like a super chat. And I've got my email up, so I'll be waiting for that. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it, man. Great to see everyone in the chat. We got Motobomb. By the way, humongous W for Motobomb for the raid this morning, my man. Thank you for that. Great to see you in here. We got Agrillipus saying, shit. Great to see you as well. We got Bree Rodriguez as well. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Steve Easy. Shit, just opened a beer for the show. Man, that makes me feel like I need to grab a beer now. That's not good. See, that's bad influence on me. We got Prez in the building as well. Good morning to you. We got Sick Bastard. Shit. Always great to see you in the chat as well. We got Josh Phillips up in here as well saying, what's up, Mike? What's up? What's up? Great to see you in the chat. We are, nice to see you on the Facebook side. We're over here on YouTube primarily, so... Crystal, great to see you in the chat, man, as well as Glare. Mike, it's pronounced Lou. Got you. Okay, so Lou. That's how you say it, Lou. How is it spelled again? Levere? Yeah, that's what happens when you're illiterate. So feels ultra bad. We got David in the building. Australia in the house right here. Great to see you, and shout out to Australia. We got Liquored Up with Poncho as well as Dwayne. Good morning, gentlemen. We've got 18. We got Pitbull in the building, my man. Great to see you in the chat, man. Over there in England. Hopefully you're enjoying your afternoon so far. We got Tiffany Lance as well as Taylor. Good morning, ladies. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning as well. We got Mountain Woman as well. Good morning to you. Two Wheel Jesus as well, man. All right, we're going to have to pretty much get right into this shit, man. You guys are legends in here. We got Wyatt as well as Beezer. Good morning, guys. SNS, thank you, guys. Steve Posey, good morning, good morning. All right, let's go ahead and get right into this craziness of a morning. We're going to start off with Judge dismisses James Comey as well as Letitia James indictments. This happened like 2 days ago, and then it hit the media yesterday. So after our show yesterday morning. So let's go ahead and bring this up a little bit and talk about it.
Andy Mack. We're following some breaking news as a judge on Monday officially dismissed the criminal charges against former FBI director.
Shit, David, I bet.
James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James. We're following this closely here on Live Now from Fox. Some breaking news that the ruling from the U.S. District Judge halts, at least for now, a pair of prosecutions that had hastened concerns that the Justice Department was being weaponized to pursue the president's political adversaries. As the judge concluded that the prosecutor who brought the charges at President Trump's...
Shit. Good morning, TVT up there in Canada.
...was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. So very interesting kind of dynamic in this. Let's bring to the conversation right now former federal prosecutor, friend of the program, Nima Rahmani. Nima, thank you so much for joining us. We talked last week, I believe, about potential misconduct by the prosecutor. This one's a different...
What's up, extra surprise?
...different kind of area that the defense was trying to get it thrown out due to the appointment of Lindsey Halligan. What do we make of this development?
It's a huge development today, Andy. Probably one of the biggest decisions involved.
Shit.
Why are you gay?
Just saying.
The Constitution's appointments clause. And this is what it says. So going back to our political science, U.S. history in high school and college, we know that certain officers of the United States, they have to be appointed by the president and confirmed by the Senate. Obviously, there's been some gridlock in the Senate. So the law does allow for interim appointments of U.S. attorneys. So the U.S. attorney is the head prosecutor in any judicial district. And the law says that there can be an interim appointment for 120 days. That appointment can be made by the attorney general. After that, if there is no Senate confirmed nominee, then the district judges in that district get to choose the U.S. attorney. So what happened here, Andy, is you have Lindsay Halligan. She is the second interim U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Why does that matter? Well, the first appointee, his name was Eric Siebert. He was appointed. He was actually ultimately appointed again by the judges in the district, but he resigned rather than.
I want to read this real quick because he's gone into like super. Let's see if they say anything here. A federal judge dismisses the indictments against Letitia James and James Comey on Monday. Now, I wish they would actually show the name of the federal judge that does it and where they're from. Against Letitia James and James Comey on Monday. So it was yesterday that it happened. Former federal prosecutor Nima Ramani joins live now from Fox to discuss the latest. This is a major blow to the Trump administration Department of Justice attempt to indict many of the president's former political enemies.
Present the Comey charges to the grand jury. So when Halligan was the second U.S. attorney appointed on an interim basis.
Oh, shit, we got Brother Beezer coming in with the 5 gifted memberships. Let's go, bro. Thank you for not only helping me, but you're helping someone in the Breakfast Club, 5 others, man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
Her appointment was challenged.
Feels ultra good.
And the judge in this case ruled that because it's a second appointee, that violates the appointments clause of the Constitution. Can't do that, right? It's the judges that have the authority to decide who's the U.S. attorney if the Senate and the president can't get their act together. So because Lindsay Halligan's appointment was unlawful, and because she personally went into the grand jury and presented the charges against Comey and presented the charges against James, all of her actions were void, and those indictments have to be
What's TOD?
dismissed.
And you
Steve
mentioned
P.
this. Is this the end to this book for FBI Director James Comey? Because we talked a lot about this, the charges, the indictment coming just days before that statute of limitation runs out. Is this the end of the case? Is this dismissed for good against former FBI Director James Comey?
That's a really good question that Andy just asked. We got Miss Lotus in the building as well. Good morning to you. Great to see you over here. Hopefully you're enjoying your Taco Tuesday so far.
Andy, you nailed it. Potentially, yes. And it's because of statute of limitations. The Comey and James cases are completely different. Unless the government wins on appeal, and believe me, they will certainly appeal to the Fourth Circuit and likely the U.S. Supreme Court because this is a constitutional issue.
Appreciate that, David.
The James Comey indictment can't be refiled because the Department of Justice waited until the 11th hour, just days before that 5-year statute of limitations was going to run. Because this indictment is void, it can't go back to the grand jury and get a new indictment. Now, the James case is very different. They still
interesting, Steve Posey. I have not heard that.
Have time. Another prosecutor who's validly appointed can go refile those cases. And Letitia James doesn't have the same statute of limitations argument. So as far as Comey is concerned, this is a huge win potentially. The case may be done. Letitia James, not so much. Again.
So Letitia James is still subject to get the smoke a little bit. But when it comes to Comey, that's a big negative. All right, so you guys know that is happening. Caroline Leavitt came out and spoke to the press yesterday, I believe. I think, meaning that I know it was yesterday, but I think she was talking to the press in particular here. We're going to bring this up and see what she has to say. Now, she takes on questions on Comey, Mark Kelly, Ukraine, and more.
Welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. Let's quickly take you out to the White House. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt answering questions.
The White House is supportive of the Department of War's investigation into Senator Mark Kelly. And I think what Senator Mark
What's up, Papa Penguin?
Kelly was actually trying to do was intimidate the 1.3 million active duty service members who are currently serving in our United States Armed Forces with that video that he and his Democrat colleagues put out. Senator Mark Kelly well knows the rules of the military and the respect that one must have for the chain of command, and that all lawful orders are presumed to be legal by our service members. You can't have a functioning military if there's disorder and chaos within the ranks, and that's what these Democrat members were encouraging. It's very clear, and not a single one of them, since they've been when pressed by the media, and I'll give you guys credit for that, can point to a single illegal order that this administration has given down, because it does not exist. They knew what they were doing in this video, and Senator Mark Kelly and all of them should be held accountable for that. No, because Lindsey Callaghan was legally appointed, and that's the administration's position. I know there was a judge who is clearly trying to shield Letitia James and James Comey from receiving accountability, and that's why they took this unprecedented action to throw away the indictments against these two individuals. But the Department of Justice will be appealing very soon, and it is our position that Lindsey Callaghan is extremely qualified for this position, but more importantly, was legally appointed to it.
Real quick before she takes on another question, make sure you guys double tap that screen if you're on the vertical side. Hit that like button if you're on the horizontal. Very much appreciate your guys' involvement and engagement. You guys don't have to like the craziness around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what I do here. So I very much appreciate you guys.
Steve.
Reaction to those indictments or not? On Ukraine, is President Zelensky coming to the United States this week? Are there a couple of points on the project, a couple of points?
Yeah. So there are no plans at this moment in time. As you know, things can change very quickly around here, so we'll keep you all apprised, but there's no meeting scheduled right now. As for where we are, I spoke with Secretary Rubio at length. I spoke with the president as well. Everybody inside feels optimistic about what happened and transpired yesterday in Geneva. Secretary Rubio, Special Envoy Witkoff, the whole team really worked through the
What's up, Rabbit of Chaos? Great to see you on this Topless Taco Tuesday. Great to see you.
Points of that 28-point peace plan that the United States authored with input from both sides, the Russians and the Ukrainians. And ultimately, the vast majority of these points have been agreed upon. The Ukrainians have worked on language with us together, and you heard that from their delegation directly yesterday. So we feel as though we're in a very good place. Of course, we have to make sure that all of these points are agreed to, and then, of course, we're going to have to make sure the other party in this war, the Russians, agree to them as well. But I think the president deserves a great deal of credit for the amount of energy and effort he's put into trying to bring these two sides to an end of this war. He wants to see this killing stop. As for any deadlines, he wants to see this end as soon as possible.
Well, and we have an update on that regards to Ukraine. As you guys know that I had told you at the top of the hour here, is that Russia, not only did Russia launch this crazy deadly drone attack just a few hours ago, but then Fox News comes out with Ukraine has agreed to a peace plan just right before we started this show. That's insane. I did not see that coming, not going to lie. So, anyways.
Is the president more determined to go after Tish James and James Comey?
Go ahead.
Is the president more determined to go after Tish James and James Comey?
Excuse me. I'm answering a question from you.
You looked at me. I'm sorry.
I turned and looked at you because you're yelling.
Oh, she is G-checking this bitch. Oh, let me go ahead and back that up. I like when, there's a little bit of a cat fight, Just saying. She.
Is the president more determined to go after Tish James and James Comey?
Go ahead.
Is the president more determined to go after Tish James and James Comey?
Excuse me. I'm answering a question from you.
You looked at me. I'm sorry.
I turned and looked at you because you're yelling. I will take a question from your colleague, and then I'll take your question too.
Oh,
okay?
shit!
Go ahead.
Oh, shit. Real quick, we got a Gorilla Piss coming in and dropping 5 gifted memberships. Yo, that's humongous, man. Thank you, guys. My man, a Gorilla Piss, sending it out. I very much appreciate that, kind sir. Not only helping me, but 5 others in the Breakfast Club, man. So thank you for that. Legend.
I don't want to detail sort of the technical talks that are happening right now, but there are just a couple, and we're confident that we'll be able to work through those. The president's been putting a lot of pressure on both leaders for this entire time. We've been talking with both sides. He's been talking to both leaders directly for 10 months now. So, yes, you can expect that pressure to continue. The president wants this war to end.
Caroline, is the president more determined now, since the judge's ruling today, to go after James Comey and Tish James, and if so, why?
I wouldn't say he's going after them. I think the president is more determined than ever to see accountability in this country, yes, and to correct the wrongs of the weaponization of our justice system.
She's got to be one of the best public speakers yet. She's got to be. She has done a phenomenal job, bro. And for being how young she is, she's only 28 years old. She's younger than me.
We saw under the previous administration in Joe Biden.
Are we entering a new phase of Venezuela, and what does that entail?
Well, as the president is so good at, I'll try to be just as good. I'm not going to broadcast any actions that may or may not be happening with respect to Venezuela. I know I've been very clear about the administration's position, as has the president and his national security team. We view the Maduro regime as being illegitimate, and the president has been very satisfied with the successful strikes against narco-terrorists and foreign terrorists that are illegally trafficking drugs towards the United States of America. He's not going to tolerate that, and you can expect to see those strikes continue.
What was President Trump's reaction to those indictments against Comey and James Comey?
His reaction was, we've seen this before. We've seen partisan judges take unprecedented steps to try to intervene in a
Yo, Bree Rodriguez coming in and becoming a member. Yo, I very much appreciate that, Bree. W's. Let's fucking go.
Accountability before, but we're not going to give up. And I know that the Department of Justice intends to appeal these rulings very soon if they haven't already. I may have missed it.
One question on Venezuela. Is there any plan meeting for this week on Venezuela? And another one, a clarification on this weekend, because the president was asked about the former Brazilian president being arrested, and he mentioned that he spoke with this gentleman. Did he speak with Bolsonaro the day before he was arrested?
Not to my knowledge. I don't know if that call took place or not. It may have. I can get you a firm answer on that, Raquel. I know it's of great importance to you for your reporting. As for meetings on Venezuela, there's meetings on a range of topics inside this building.
I'm sure of that. I mean, we're ready to go with Venezuela right now.
The time, and the president is constantly apprised of what's going on in the world, what's going on in the news, and he's very well written into all of the things that his team are working on.
All right, that's enough because we got a huge morning, I think, and we have a lot of updates from different subjects here that she was actually talking on. So I don't want to give you necessarily old news here when I have the updated news here. So anyways, just go ahead and know that that was happening yesterday after our show, as well as something that happened after our show yesterday was Doge doesn't exist anymore, according to report. Now, I saw that, I think, Monday early morning. Maybe it was right after. It had to have been right after I had saw that. And they disbanded like 8 months before their scheduled date or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that. Let's go ahead and bring that up right now. And we'll talk about it real quick.
From Washington, D.C., as Doge has officially been disbanded. Initial reporting from Reuters saying that the Department of Government Efficiency that was put in place on day one of the Trump's second term in office is no more, doesn't have a central leadership. As you can see this on social media, President Trump's department.
Richard, I guess they have been approved, and I guess they're being put out already.
Government Efficiency, or Doge, doesn't exist anymore. This according
What's up,
to the
Dark
Office
Soul?
of Personnel Management,
Good morning.
the director who spoke with Reuters earlier. And of course, Doge, initially run by Elon Musk, the tech billionaire, is no more. It was less than a year old. It was run there for several months before that feud with the President Donald Trump erupted into public view. Let's bring into the conversation right now on this the reporter for Reuters, Courtney Rosen. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And a lot of conversation over the last several months.
I'm not entirely sure. When I saw it, it said it was 8 months ahead of schedule, or meaning before their end date was supposed to be up. But I could be wrong.
It was about Doge early on in the administration. What do we know right now about Doge and what led it to this point?
Early on in the administration, we were hearing headlines almost every day about Doge going into agencies. These were staff under Elon Musk, cutting jobs. What we know now is that there's no longer a, quote, centralized group that is Doge.
Yes, that's coming out for the citizens here in 2026. TBT.
The Department of Government Efficiency. And what we're seeing is the staff that is remaining who didn't leave the Trump administration the last couple months, they have joined into permanent roles inside government agencies. So, for example, we reported that the Chief Technology Officer at the Department of Health and Human Services, which sounds like a wonky title, is a person who was affiliated with Doge. A person, Joe Gebbia, who's the co-founder of Airbnb, he's working on government websites and improving them for President Trump. He was a Doge member. So we're seeing them kind of spread out into agencies, and there's not a centralized group anymore.
And we're hearing, obviously, from that director of the Office of Personnel Management about this reporting, Scott Cooper, saying it's good editing, splice my comments across the paragraphs 2 and 3 to create a grabbing headline. Of course, that the principles of Doge remain alive and well. Of course, he's kind of getting to the fact that there's no longer that centralized leadership, as you noted. What is your response to this, and can you kind of give us some clarity on it?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, nonetheless, if they found a whole bunch of shit, like for instance, like the stuff that people were still receiving checks that were like 300 years old and shit like that, like, yo, that kind of shit is out of control. So for those kind of things, I'm very grateful for what they found. All the misuse of money. I think it's important that our money goes to things that actually matter. And if we're paying for something, it actually go to the things that we're paying for, not the pockets of these politicians and greedy fucking corporations.
I spoke to Director Cooper, which is what I based the story on. I spoke to him a couple weeks ago here in Washington. And That statement really adds to what we were saying in the story, which is there's no more centralized authority, like what he said, and that other agencies are trying to, I'll call it, carry forward the ideas that were DOGE, right? Cutting government jobs, making things more, quote, efficient. We're seeing that in Director Cooper's agency. He runs the Office of Personnel Management, which is a really wonky title for HR. And some of the tasks that DOGE was doing, his office is also.
What's up, Holy Skunk? Good morning.
Doing now. So I don't see that as conflicting with what we wrote, more adding more to it.
Yeah, obviously, I just want to get your thoughts on this. And of course, talking about the centralized leadership, when you potentially thought of that several months ago, you thought of this individual, Elon Musk, the tech billionaire, as he was kind of the face of this, as he wore so many hats inside of the Oval Office in terms of this. But there was that public feud that went down on social media.
And you know what's funny about that is so many of you guys predicted that. You know, I remember Steve Easy saying that in the very beginning, and Glaire and Papa. You guys are like, yeah, I can't imagine these two getting along for that long. You know, they're just two power hungry, money hungry people, you know, like good luck dealing with that, you know, good luck. Someone has to be the subordinate, you know, in that situation. And Elon Musk, I don't think is a very good subordinate. Just saying.
Between him and the president, where is the standing right now for Elon Musk? And obviously, potentially from his viewpoint, does he see DOGE, even though it's no longer having this central leadership, it's disbanded, does he view this as the success?
When he was exiting government, that's what he said publicly. What the feud you're talking about happened in May, where President Trump and Mr. Musk got into an argument on X, Musk's platform. One of the things, we haven't seen him publicly in Washington in a couple months. And one of the changes in the last week or two is Mr. Musk came to Washington for the meeting with the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince. And
that's what I thought I thought he was there for that. And I kind of just noted that in my head personally, because I saw him in one of the frames. I was like, oh shit. Elon's there.
Yes, is the initials we call him. So he was in town for some of those events, as was President Trump, who was leading them. So we're starting to see him, I'll call it, reemerge in Washington. But he certainly doesn't have the same role that he had at the onset of the second Trump term.
And of course, this DOGE was put in place. It was really laid the groundwork on the campaign trail for Donald Trump. It was instituted on day number 1. It was not expected to be a permanent operation, correct?
That's correct.
And can you kind of showcase any?
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't understand how teachers would be considered non-professionals, and same thing with nurses. I would absolutely consider that professional career on both sides. So I don't understand the reason for changing the nomenclature. I don't understand that.
More of this, because obviously it's less than a year old. There's only 8 or so months left on it. What was the timeline of DOGE supposed to be?
It was supposed to last through July of 2026, and we know that because President Trump signed a directive in his first days in office that said, I'm establishing DOGE, the acronym for the Department of Government Efficiency, and I'm setting it up as a temporary organization to last through Independence Day in 2026. So the fact
Independence Day 2026. So that's when it was supposed to go. Wow. Interesting. So it is in July it was supposed to end. And that's essentially where I was waiting out this video to figure out that question right there, because I saw it was something like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on, though. We had Attorney General Pam Bondi speak out yesterday. State leaders talk crime reduction and Memphis Safe Task Force. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and spend a lot of time on this. We're going to go ahead and kind of breeze through this, and I may even skip through a couple of things because we do have some big breaking news regarding Ukraine that I'd really like to get to. So, nonetheless, let's go ahead and get to this real quick.
Thank you all for being here today. And thank you to our HUD Secretary, Scott Turner, for your partnership in restoring American communities. Our goal is not only to make Memphis safe, but make Memphis beautiful again. And we're grateful, Secretary, for your partnership. I also want to thank Governor Bill Lee.
I hate how they always start off with, like, thanking the world. Like, God, you don't have to list off every person. Come, please.
I want to thank U.S. Marshal Director Gowdy
No,
Sorrell.
she's still doing it.
In the entire country. Memphis's total crime rate was 3. Go to church, honest American deserves to be safe. That's our objective. The people of Memphis deserve to be safe. Every American deserves to be safe, to go to the grocery store, to take their kids to school, to be able to go to church on a Sunday without fear. In 2024, Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, the highest in the entire country. Memphis's total crime rate was 344% higher than the national average. No longer.
344% more than the national average? Damn.
to the leadership of President Trump and our dedicated men and women in law enforcement. This surge in Memphis has dramatically dropped crime. The numbers tell the story themselves. They are undeniable. The last 56 days that we have had this surge compared to the same 56-day time period a year ago shows murder is down 48% in just 56 days, sexual assault down 49%, robbery down 61%, overall serious crime down 45% here in Memphis. We are reversing the trend. Since President Trump ordered federal law enforcement officers to surge Memphis, 121 children have been located and returned to safety. Those are 121 children who were reported missing and endangered.
Damn. Real quick, we got Mr. in the building. Shout out to my man. Good morning and great to see you in the chat.
They have been recovered. More than 3,100 arrests have been made, including 327 known gang members, 501 firearms seized off the streets of Memphis. We have filed federal charges against approximately 150 people. Michael, is that right? As of today, 157 federal charges have been filed. Tolerating crime is a choice. This administration chooses law and order and making America safe again. President Trump chooses to protect the good people of Memphis, every neighborhood, and every family. Unfortunately, the safety of our community has been compromised by some judges who continue to obstruct our efforts. I wish they are all watching this, and I hope they're seeing what we're doing here in Memphis. We will not coddle violent criminals at the expense of law-abiding citizens. We will use every legal means in our disposal to make America safe again and to keep Americans safe. In Memphis and in Washington, D.C., and every city across this country, our message is clear. If you're committing violent crimes, if you're committing any crime, we will find you, we will bring you to justice, and we will protect the law-abiding citizens in this country. I want to thank all of our agents again. We're here today because it's Thanksgiving week, and we know all of you are out there protecting all of us.
Honestly, I think Trump should go back to what one of the main reasons why he got elected was his stance on the border and illegal aliens in our country. Just go hardcore at deporting motherfuckers. You know what I mean? And guess what? All of a sudden, you'll have a lot of support and love. You know what I mean? It's just ironic. But anyways, this is enough of Pam Bondi. We're going to move on. We have an update on the cruise ship death that happened on the Carnival cruise a couple of weeks ago. We've been following this story, and this is a very, very quick update. It's only like 3 minutes. But Anna Kempner's grandparents speak out. So let's go ahead and bring this up for you guys, and we'll go ahead and talk about it real quick. Before we get into Trump plans, a trip to Beijing and state visit for President Xi from China in 2026, as well as a Pentagon probe, Senator Mark Kelly after illegal orders video. And then we'll have our final update. Well, not final update, the second to final update on Ukraine, with the Russia launches a deadly strike on Ukraine amid renewed peace talks. And then the I think that's how you say it, right? Jewel heist over there in Paris. 4 new arrests were made. And then we have our final Ukraine agrees to peace deal. So stick around for all of that. I know it's a lot. All right.
Another top story we are continuing to follow as a stepbrother is now front and center in the death investigation of an 18-year-old high school student who died on a Carnival cruise ship. Let's be joined right now by Madison Scarpino in Atlanta with the latest on this mystery. What more can you tell us? What's the next step in this process?
Hey, Andy Mac. Well, yeah, the 16-year-old stepbrother was sharing a cruise cabin with the victim, Anna Kempner, and that's also where her body was found. Well, in an interview with ABC News, Anna's grandparents say that the FBI told them she died from asphyxiation. And the grandparents, who were also on the family cruise, say the FBI is exploring the possibility it was caused by a so-called bar hold, which is a type of chokehold with an arm around the neck.
What?
But investigators and the medical examiner are staying quiet right now. ABC asked the grandparents if they think the stepbrother had anything to do with Anna's death, and here's what they say.
Oh, this is going to be a good question, because the last update we got on this was we found out, about a week and a half later after the incident, that the stepbrother has now become a suspect. So, yeah. So now the question is, they're asking the grandparents, do you think this kid was the one that did it, or he's capable?
I mean, he was in a room with her. He was the only one seen coming and going. So I can't accuse him because I don't.
Oh man, that's brutal. She answered basically yes. Yes, he I think he did it. And she's like, the facts are the facts. He's the only one that was in and out of that motherfucker. We probably have all that list of everyone that's come in and out of that room because the cameras and shit. It was only the stepbrother. Brutal.
Don't know what happened.
And then she is found dead under a bed with a life jacket and a blanket covering her body.
Happened in that room, but the summation would be that he did something.
The grandmother also saying the stepson told her he did not remember what happened the night of Anna's death. And she also says that he was a, quote, emotional mess while interviewing with the FBI. We learned through a court motion filed last week in the stepmom's custody case that her teen son is considered to be a suspect in Anna's death, and he could soon be facing charges. Now, this all comes after a housekeeper discovered the cheerleader's lifeless body shoved under a bed in the cabin earlier this month, reportedly wrapped in a blanket and covered by life jackets.
Brutal.
Cruise ships are loaded with cameras. They have cameras everywhere. When we may not.
That's exactly what I was getting at. I'm like, where's the fucking camera footage? Where's the camera footage of who's going in and out of these rooms? They have it. I know they do.
Have cameras in the room, but we're going to know the time of death. We're going to know who was.
Well, it doesn't necessarily need to be cameras in the room. It's cameras of who's going in and out of the room. That's what actually matters. You can see when she goes into the fucking room, right? And if it's only one person that goes in that room and then he leaves, or she, or whatever, the suspect, and then the person's dead. All right. What does the autopsy say? Did you die from suffocation? What'd you die from?
Whether the death.
And we have.
And obviously, someone tried to hide it because it was under a bed with covered with life jackets and fucking a blanket.
Out to the attorneys for both Anna's stepmother and her father, and are waiting to hear back. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much. And obviously, one of the main questions that I think about is
he was
jurisdiction,
hiding the body
because this cruise ship is traveling through different waters to different ports. Can you give us some insight into
what's up, Carrie? Good morning to you.
That who has potential authority if there are charges brought or anything happens?
So because, as you mentioned, this did happen supposedly on international waters during that Carnival cruise ship, it would be the FBI handling this investigation. And since all the signs are pointing towards the 16-year-old being the suspect, the fact that he's a minor probably is.
And it's brutal because they were both minors.
Playing into the fact that we still have not seen any charges yet, if he is in fact charged with this crime.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of potentially finger pointing out there for this. What is Carnival Cruise saying about this? Have we heard any statement?
No, they're not gonna. They're just gonna say how they're saddened by the situation.
Are they being cooperative with authorities?
Of course, they're gonna cooperate.
So Carnival Cruise, in the beginning, when this happened, they told us that they are fully cooperating with the Miami office of the FBI. As I mentioned, they are the ones handling the investigation, and they seem to kind of point all the questions back towards the FBI. But they are acknowledging that this happened on one of their ships.
All right,
Yep, of course they are. They have to. It's evident. All right, we're going to move on, though. Trump plans trip to Beijing and state visit for President Xi over there for... the president of China in 2026. So let me go ahead and grab this video for us real quick. And we'll go ahead and present it here.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Pesha. Great to have you with us this evening as we continue to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. One of the headlines that we are seeing come across our way is from President Trump himself, putting this out on Truth Social, saying, I just had a very good telephone call with President Xi of China. We discussed many topics, including Ukraine, Russia, fentanyl, soybeans, and other farm products. So we have done a good and very important deal.
What's up, Christopher Collins? Good morning.
For our great farmers, and it will only get better. Our relationship with China is extremely strong. This call was a follow-up to our highly successful meeting in South Korea 3 weeks ago. Since then, there has been significant progress on both sides in keeping our agreements current and accurate. And now we can set our sights on the big picture. To that end, President Xi invited me to Beijing in April, which I accepted, and I followed through where he will be my guest for a state visit in the U.S. later in the year. We agreed that it is important and we communicate often, which I look forward to doing. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So yeah, it was a big announcement by President Trump. Trump made the announcement after he spoke with the president by phone nearly a month after the two leaders met in person in South Korea, saying that they discussed issues including Ukraine, fentanyl, and purchases of American.
I absolutely have to agree with this, Papa Penguin. Never fly a budget airline or take a budget cruise. 1,000% facts. W comment for the day. I absolutely agree.
Soybeans. The emissions from each side signal that sticking points remain for the two superpowers, even as they highlight common ground following a series of talks to ease a trade war that has threatened the global economy. The conversation came as China-Japan relations have plunged to a new low following recent remarks from Japanese Prime Minister saying the military in Japan, a key U.S. ally, could get involved if China were to take action against Taiwan. The self-governing island that Beijing says must come under its rule. My best guess is China is worried about the escalation in tensions with Japan. The reference to Taiwan.
Well, yeah, no kidding.
And the post-World War II order directly points to the spat with Japan over Taiwan, said the director of the China program at the Washington-based think tank. They also talked about Ukraine. That is an issue China is interested in due to the new peace negotiation.
Shit, Agrippas. I probably roll 3 in the morning and then I roll another 3 in the afternoon. That's how that works. So I guess it's a total of 6. All right, we're moving on. Pentagon probes Senator Mark Kelly after the illegals order video. This is going to be, this is an interesting development, so I definitely want to see what is being said here.
And welcome back to Live Now.
We may not play this whole thing, but I definitely want to get the gist.
From Fox, I'm your host, Mike Pace. Always great to be with you as we continue to roll on, bringing you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. One of those big headlines that came out today, we learned that the Pentagon announced that they are investigating Democratic Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona over possible breaches of military law after the former Navy pilot joined a handful of other lawmakers in a video that called for troops to defy illegal orders. This is part of a statement from the Department of War, putting this out, saying the Department of War has received serious allegations of misconduct against Captain Mark Kelly. In accordance with the Uniform Code of Military Justice and other applicable regulations, a thorough review of these allegations has been initiated to determine further actions, which may include a recall to active duty for court-martial proceedings or administrative measures. This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring a due process and impartiality. Further official comments will be limited to preserve the...
Wait, in compliance with military law. Oh, shit.
The integrity of the proceedings. It goes on to say the Department of War reminds all individuals that military retirees remain subject to the UCMJ for applicable offenses, and federal laws such as 18 U.S.C. 2387 prohibit actions intended to interfere with the loyalty, morale, or good order.
And then I smoked 2 more.
And discipline of the armed forces. Any violations will be addressed through appropriate legal channels. So we want to continue to obviously talk about this big story. I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down for us. Mike Brest joins us with
Washington
Examiner reporter on the defense. Mike, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now. And first, what can else you tell us here about this active investigation that was just announced today?
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity. And so this was a seminal moment in this whole sort of ongoing situation.
What's up, Brother Slim? Happy Taco Tuesday, topless Taco Tuesday at that.
In the storyline, because there was the possibility that there wouldn't be a lot that came from it. But the announcement of a review into Senator Mark Kelly is somewhat of a big moment because it shows that the story will continue moving forward. And so, as of this moment, he is the only one of the 6 Democratic lawmakers who participated in this video who is under investigation. And the secretary.
So he was already under investigation prior in that video, in that specific video of the Congress motherfuckers talking shit.
Explain that he's the only one at this moment who, of the 6, is still eligible or still has to follow the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And so that's the reason we're talking specifically about him and not
these far left motherfuckers. They are the worst. They are just the worst. They hate America.
all 6 of them.
At least we're fucking trying over here. You know what I mean? Like, God damn.
And Mike, what does a timeline look here for this investigation through the Department of Defense?
So it's still early. They obviously just announced it earlier today. And so it's unclear exactly how long this type of review could take, or who is even leading it is still unclear at this moment. And so we're in just the early hours of this, and we can expect more information here and there from the department as this gets underway.
And for the defense of Mark Kelly, how will this differ for people that might not know? This, of course, won't be through the traditional channels of a court, but a military court. How does that differ? How will his defense differ? Maybe if you could gear us into that as well.
So this is not any sort of, as you said, proceeding in a regular court of law the way people think of it, the way you and I would if we were under investigation or under arrest. And so under the UCMJ, there will be a whole review process where he will eventually.
There is a handful, a couple of good ones, Steve. There are.
Actually have the opportunity to give his side of the story if he chooses. And so this is something that could play out over an extended period of time.
I also want to show some of the statement from Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, putting this out on X, saying the video made by the seditious 6 was despicable, reckless, and false, encouraging our warriors to ignore the orders of their commanders, undermines every aspect of good order and discipline. Their foolish screed sows doubt and confusion, which only puts our warriors in danger. 5 of the 6 individuals in that video do not fall under Department of War jurisdiction. 1 is CIA, and 4 are former military but not retired, so they are no longer subject to the UCMJ. However, Mark Kelly, retired Navy commander, is still subject to the UCMJ, and he knows that.
Damn, that was straight from Pete Hegseth.
So Pete Hegseth goes on to
and he continues.
Say, as was announced, the department is reviewing his statements and actions, which were addressed directly to all troops, while explicitly using his rank and service affiliation, lending the appearance of authority to his words. Kelly's conduct brings a discredit upon the armed forces and will be addressed appropriately. So those were the statements there from Pete Hegseth. I want to bring in Mike Brest in once again. What are some of the charges that could be against Mark Kelly, and what could that look like? Could his rank be thrown away? What are some things that could be looking?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question because I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, Mark Kelly, if it goes through.
So the specific charge is about interfering with the loyalty, morale, or good order and discipline of the armed forces. I'm not an expert in military law, so it's unclear exactly.
Military law is a different level shit.
The scope of potential punishment should he be found responsible for engaging in this type of conduct. But one thing that I found very interesting is that, and as you read the Secretary's statement, he specifically referred to them as the seditious 6 and was pretty explicit in his frustration or condemnation with Senator Kelly. And it will be interesting because Secretary Hegseth is a part of the chain of command structure. And so it seems to me like this statement and statements from the president are things that the senator will be able to use to his defense when the time comes for it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And yeah, it's such a good point as well. We will see what the next steps are for Mark Kelly and beyond. But thank you so much, Mike, for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We really appreciate it.
All right. That was actually, I'm surprised that I got through the entire thing there, but that was very interesting. And he kept asking good questions here. All right. We're getting into now on a geopolitical level here. Let's move it over to Russia and Ukraine. Russia launches deadly strike on Ukraine amid renewed peace talks. Now, this just happened 3 hours ago. So I'm going to give you guys a timeline here. And then just an hour ago, there's been an acceptance of a peace deal from Ukraine, which is a humongous deal. All right, let's go ahead and get into this.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us here at Live Now from Fox on this Tuesday, November 25th. My name is Karela Hara. I'll be with you throughout the next several hours as we continue to follow some of the big breaking news stories, also showcasing live events and live looks from around the world. We do want to start with some breaking news developments from overnight as Russia has struck Ukraine as those peace talks do continue. Taking a look here at some of those live images that we have of the aftermath. So Russia launching a wave of attacks on Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, overnight, with at least 6 people killed in the strikes that hit city buildings and energy infrastructure. A Ukrainian attack on southern Russia killed 3 people.
I'm not sure what the context is to that, TVT.
And damaged homes. That's according to authorities. The attacks came during a renewed U.S. push to end the war that has raged for nearly 4 years.
Are you talking about the politician that they were talking about stripping his rank or whatever?
And talks about a U.S. peace plan. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll met with Russian officials for several hours in Abu Dhabi on Tuesday, and that's according to what a U.S. official told the Associated Press. I want to head over to this, a social media post from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in which he talks about this most recent attack. He says this, quote, "Right now in Kyiv, our first responders are working at the sites of Russian strikes. The main Russian attack overnight targeted the capital."
I want to know how many, let's see, it says the main Russian attack overnight targeted the capital and the region, causing extensive damage to residential buildings and civilian infrastructure across the city. As of now, 13 people are reported injured and sadly 6 killed. My condolences to all of their families and loved ones. There is also destruction in the Odessa region. The ports, food supplies, and infrastructures were hit with no military purpose whatsoever. They also struck Dnipro, Kharkiv, and some other cities and regions that I can't pronounce. The primary targets were the emergency sector and everything that keeps normal life going. In total, the Russians launched 22 missiles of various types, including aeroballistic ones, and more than 460 drones, most of them Russian, Iranian, Shahids. I think that's how you say it, Shahids or whatever. Yeah, so Iran builds all those fucking drones down there, and they sell them essentially to Russia. But I'm sure that there is Daddy Putin runs all of them over there, you know what I mean, and has been a big funder of their fucking terror as well.
And the region, causing extensive damage.
Okay, I don't need to hear her say it now. Now I want to get back to this.
Back out live to the images that we have of that aftermath. The Associated Press also saying this, that the U.S. official who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss these sensitive negotiations when it comes to that peace plan between Russia and Ukraine declined.
Oh, I don't know the answer to that, TVT. Unfortunately,
to give details on how long the negotiations would last or what topics were being discussed, but noted that the Ukrainians were aware of the meeting and all sides have indicated they wanted to reach a deal to halt the fighting as quickly as possible. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky saying late Monday that, quote, "the list of necessary steps to end the war can become doable" after progress was made in Sunday's talks between U.S. and Ukrainian delegates in Geneva. He said he planned to discuss these sensitive outstanding issues with President Trump. I also want to point to this, another social media post from the Ukrainian president. He says this morning,
always appreciate you, Steve Posey.
I spoke with Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer. It was a good and very
Here's Zelensky again.
productive conversation. I thanked the Prime Minister for the condolences he expressed to the Ukrainian people. Last night, Russia launched another attack at a time when Ukraine, together with America, Europe, and many others around the world, are working virtually around the clock to stop the bloodshed. Following the meetings in Geneva, we see many prospects that can make the path to peace real. There are solid results and much work still lies ahead. Today, a meeting of the coalition and the willing will...
I have not seen that yet, Prez. Maybe I'll tune into that maybe sometime today. I've been super busy lately. All my spare time has been wrapped up on this political campaign.
Will take place. We have coordinated our positions and the priority issues for discussion, as well as some of our next steps and contacts. Those talks in Geneva happening over the weekend, where we did hear from U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He also echoed the sentiment that there was a lot of progress that was made during those meetings. Now, Russian officials have been reserved in their comments on the peace plan. European leaders have cautioned that the road to peace will be long.
Okay, so the road to peace may not be that long because we have an update on that. That right before we went live, this came up.
We are following this break.
Breaking news here. This is all according to Fox News. Ukraine has agreed to a peace deal. Let's put this up on your screen. This Fox News post saying, breaking, Ukraine agrees to peace deal with some details still to be worked out. And this is according to a U.S. official who reported this to Fox News. The official saying, quote, there are some minor details to be sorted out, but they have agreed to a peace deal. Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Tolbert, a spokesman for U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, had told Fox News that Driscoll and his team met with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi on Monday and Tuesday to discuss the framework for a Ukraine peace deal. And we do have a quote there from Tolbert saying, the talks are going well and we remain optimistic. Secretary Driscoll is closely synchronized with the White House and the U.S. interagency as these talks progress. The U.S. official told Fox News that the Ukrainian delegation was also in Abu Dhabi and was in contact with Driscoll and his team. The diplomatic flurry over the weekend followed the leak of the 28-point peace plan that did come out recently, which many European leaders and U.S. lawmakers viewed as largely favorable to Russia. We also had several lawmaker reaction. Representative Don Bacon from Nebraska said on X that the initial proposal by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff was, quote, a surrender document for Ukraine that would have left it at the mercy of Russia for decades to come. He said the latest version, developed with Secretary of State Marco Rubio's involvement and input from Ukrainian and European officials, was a better plan. Ukraine's decision to agree to the deal came hours after Russia launched an overnight attack on Kyiv that killed at least 6 people and injured 13. The strikes on residential buildings and civilian infrastructure came as U.S. and Ukrainian officials met over the weekend in Geneva to discuss the...
Okay, it says right here, we expect the organization of a visit by the president of Ukraine to the United States at the earliest possible date in November to finalize the final stages and reach an agreement with President Trump.
28-point peace plan being pushed by the Trump administration to end the nearly 4-year war.
This is huge development. I'm not going to lie.
Ukraine's Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council cited the talks in Geneva in addressing his country's agreement to major parts of a peace plan, saying, quote, we appreciate the productive and constructive meetings held in Geneva between the Ukrainian and U.S. delegations, as well as President Trump's steadfast efforts to end the war. That was a post to X. He added that his country looks forward to Zelensky visiting the U.S., quote, at the earliest suitable date in order to complete final steps and make a deal with President Trump. This also coming here as we are anticipating in just a short amount of time, French President Emmanuel Macron attending a virtual meeting by video conference with Coalition of the Willing to coordinate and draw conclusions from Geneva talks on Ukraine and take new initiatives. And that's also going to be attended by British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, as we've been listening into him this morning. Now, we also have this post on your screen here from Ukrainian
Absolutely. That's right. And I hope I do owe you $20.
President Volodymyr Zelensky saying, this morning, I spoke with Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer. It was a good and very productive conversation. I thank the Prime Minister for the condolences he expressed to the Ukrainian people. Last night, Russia launched another attack at a time when Ukraine, together with America, Europe, and many others around the world, are working virtually around the clock to stop the bloodshed. Following the meetings in Geneva, we see many prospects that can make the path to peace real. There are solid results, and much work still lies ahead. Today, a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing will take place. We have coordinated our positions and the priority issues for discussion, as well as some of our next steps and contacts. So on our end here on Live Now from Fox, we are anticipating that around 9:45 to 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we'll bring that to you here. Also, this post from Fox News saying Ukraine has agreed to a peace deal that would see an end to the war with Russia. That's that U.S. official once again telling this to Fox News. There are some minor details to be sorted out, but they have agreed to a peace deal. Ukraine's decision to agree to the deal came hours after Russia launched an overnight attack on Kyiv.
It was just a couple of hours.
That killed at least 6 people and injured 13. So once again, if you are just tuned...
Man, could you imagine being a part of these families that got, these 6 people that died and injured 13? Could you imagine that? And then just literally 2 hours later, there's a peace deal made. Like, could you imagine being those people? I'd be so upset.
In here to Live Now from Fox. This is the latest just coming into our newsroom here.
It's called empathy, guys.
Once again, those talks set to be held in just about 30 minutes or so here with French President Emmanuel Macron attending, as well as British Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
All right, so we've got an update on the Lou Jewel heist. I don't know how to say it, honestly, but whatever. We're just rolling with it. The jewel heist that happened over there in Paris. There has been 4 new arrests that were made. This is our final little thing that we're going to be presenting today. This is only a few minutes, though. It's only like 3 minutes. We're going to set up a raid real quick while this plays, and I'll let you guys know who we're sending you guys off to here in a minute.
We have some breaking news to get to on this Tuesday as 4 more arrests have been made in connection with the Louvre jewel heist. from several weeks ago. Taking a look here at a social media post from the Associated Press in which they have that headline, and they're also citing the Paris prosecutor. So here is what we know so far. The loot, which was valued at around $102 million, has not been recovered yet. However, 2 men and 2 women from the Paris region were taken into custody Tuesday morning. So some of those jewels, I should say, that haven't been recovered include a diamond and emerald necklace that Napoleon gave to Empress Marie-Louise and jewels tied to 19th century queens Marie Amélie and Hortense, and the Empress Eugenie's pearl and diamond tiara. So while prosecutors and investigators are still looking for that, we know that still 4 more arrests have been made in connection. I do want to bring us out to some of the footage from just several weeks ago when all of this first happened. Now, the Louvre's director, in light of that, did acknowledge that it was a terrible failure at the Paris tourist attraction after that daylight crown jewel heist, and said that she offered to resign, but it was refused. The world's most visited museum reopened earlier in the day that day to long lines, or a couple of days after, I should say, beneath that landmark glass pyramid for the first time since one of the highest profile museum thefts of the century stunned the world with its audacity and its scale. Video did circulate across social media showcasing those thieves.
I don't know where she is today,
They
Frank.
made their way out of the museum and were able to get away. It took some time for the first of those suspects to be caught by investigators. Now, in testimony to the French Senate, the Louvre director said that the museum had a shortage of security cameras outside of the monument, and other weaknesses exposed that theft. Under heavy pressure over a heist that stained France's global image, she had testified to a Senate committee that she submitted her resignation, but that the culture minister refused to accept it.
This is super and interesting, the whole way that they stole this shit. How they got away with it, actually, is more like what I meant to say. But so what it says here is the Paris prosecutors, our prosecutor reports 4 more arrests were made in connection with the Louvre jewel heist. 2 women and 2 men were taken into custody on Tuesday, which is today.
Thieves slipped in and out, making off with 8 pieces from France's crown jewels, a cultural wound that some...
I just don't understand how they got away with it. I mean, they have like security like a motherfucker.
Compared to the burning of Notre Dame Cathedral back in 2019. Now, the theft...
Why are you gay?
Why are you gay?
Which occurred steps away from the Mona Lisa, again, valued at more than $100 million, and still some of those items have yet to be recovered. It did come just months after employees went on strike, warning of chronic understaffing and not enough resources for protection.
Damn. So they were striking because they weren't hiring enough motherfuckers. And then this whole thing goes down. Holy shit. Wow. Could you imagine how long they planned this shit out, though? Like, it had to have been like a crazy, where you go to the board and you like draw up your whole plan. And it takes you like a year, whatever. It must be crazy. Anyways, fascinating shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank you guys enough, though. We have concluded our hour, consolidation of the facts of what's happening out there in the world. I can't thank you guys enough for your engagement, your guys' likes, hitting that like button, double tapping the screen on the vertical side, hitting that like. I very much appreciate that. And also, you guys in the live chat, man, I can't thank you guys enough for engaging with us as a community as we talk about these hardcore topics. And I hope that I'm able to make it somewhat entertaining and consolidated so that we have a lot of information we're pushing out every day, So listen, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Rob Knorr. Make sure you guys let him know. It's very special to me. If you guys can let him know, we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. So anyways, with that being said, much love, honor, and respect to everybody. We'll see you guys here in tomorrow morning for more of the world's madness. Until then, God bless everyone. We'll talk to you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burns.